Hello everyone. Hi, it's me, it's Heather, and Yom Tov. Happy Monday to whoever's watching. And I've got my cat actually pawing at me at the moment. If I try to lift him up, I don't know if he'd stay in my arms. I mean, I could try. It's little Oscar. Do you want to come up, Oscar? Do you want to be up? Do you want to be up? Come on. There he is. This is Oscar. Here we are. Look. There he is. Oscar. He's not going to turn around and face anyone, I don't think. But if I stroke him for a little while, he might just turn round. If we're lucky. If we're lucky. Oscar's 9. And I've got him and his 2 brothers. And Oscar's the baby. Oscar was the runt of the litter. And he looks entirely different to his 2 big brothers. Big brothers are all long hairs. And our Oscar here's a short hair. Aren't you, Oscar? Who's a good boy? Yes, he's lovely. He is. I'll try and get him to turn around, but I can't make any promises. I think he's probably camera shy. Speaking of pets, I've managed to get a picture of our Haven mascot, and I thought you'd like to see it. The name of the dog is Hazel, and her owner is Laura Cotier. So I want to say hello to Laura. Hi, Laura. And thank you for allowing us to borrow Hazel as our Haven mascot. Oh, I think he's starting to turn round and relax a bit now. Aren't you, darling? Hey, are you turning round now? Are you going to get a bit more comfy? Of course you are. There he is. There he is. There's Oscar. What a good boy. There you can see him now. This is Oscar. Oscar, say hello to all the Haveners. Hello. Gosh, never saw his lips move there, did you? So anyway, this is the baby. This is Oscar. Anyway, so again, talking about pets, I wanted to introduce you to our Haven pet. This is just, I printed it off on paper, please forgive me, but it's the only way I could get you to see it. This is Hazel, and she is our mascot. So I thought you'd like to see her. Isn't she gorgeous? She's lovely, isn't she? And I think she's either 7 or 9 months old, but I'm going to pin Laura's comment about her that she put in the last video. I think that's about the best way for you to see her, probably. So I thought you'd like to take a nice good look at her. And that's our mascot. And apparently she's a lovely little dog. She's absolutely gorgeous. So that's Hazel for all of us Haveners. Isn't that great? There you go. And I'll find a frame and I'll put her on in the background so you'll always be able to see her. But there you go. Now, I just was wondering, I don't know if any other channel has their own mascot, but now we do. Very big thanks to Laura for letting us borrow her. So that's that. Well, I never thought I'd be joined by our Oscar today. One of these days I might get one of the 2 big boys to come along and sit with us. But cats are very relaxing. And don't get me wrong, I've had dogs in the past and dogs are lovely. But there's something about cats that I prefer, and I think it's their independence. And the fact that you don't have to entertain them. You don't have to take them out for a walk. They don't need a bath. Well, not if you still want the skin on your hands and your face. They don't want a bath. I know some cats love water, but my 3 aren't big on the waterfront. Aren't you not? You don't like it very much. So what I actually wanted to talk to you about today was when we were talking the other day about loneliness. And I wanted to bring up rejection and how that can attribute to loneliness. But when you think of all the different ways that you can feel rejection, you can obviously feel rejected by your parents, your siblings, a lover, husband, wife, partner, your job, friends. All of us, I think, have felt a form of rejection at one time or another. And I know I have many a time when I've thought things were going great, and then you turn around and you realise that things aren't quite the way that you thought it was, and you realise that the other person isn't sort of on the same page, or they're not on the same wavelength, and then before you know it, you're part of their past. And some of us can get stuck in the past because we can't handle rejection, and it can affect us mentally and emotionally. You can suffer terrible spirals of depression. You can be, I'm not necessarily saying this is bipolar, but you can find yourself on a high 1 minute with, oh, I can cope with this, and singing Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive. And then the next minute you're down in the dumps, and, listen to the Beatles Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Now it looks as though they're here to stay. And it's how you cope with that rejection. Now, when it comes to one thing that I do know about in the workplace, when I did work, and you apply for different jobs, and then the amount of rejection letters that come through. Thank goodness I was never a writer, because I don't think I could have coped with the amount of rejection letters that I know I would have received, because writing is not my strong point. I'm not saying I can't write a story, but it certainly wouldn't be good enough for a publisher, and I very much doubt anybody would want to read anything that I had to say in the first place. But one thing I've always said to people is, and it's literally been something that I had to learn the hard way, is when you're feeling rejected in your workplace, you're not being treated properly, and either people don't like the look of your face, or you haven't managed to gel in with colleagues and peers and what have you. The worst thing you can do is jump before you're pushed, and then find yourself going from the frying pan into the fire. Sometimes you've just got to grit your teeth and bear it. And that's not just in a job situation, isn't it? Sometimes if you're stuck in a marriage that you can't see a future in, but you've got children and you're worried about, it can take a lot of courage to just walk away and start again. There are a lot of wives who have found themselves, thank you, there are a lot of wives who have found themselves in the position of being able to stay in the house, and the man leaves and finds himself somewhere to stay. That wasn't the case for me. It was his family home, and I was the one, bye-bye. He does that, I've been rejected. Thank you. Covered in cat hair now. Sorry, what was I saying? You find yourself having to start all over again. And it's not nice. It's not great. But when you've got kids, you've got to just dig your heels in and make the best of things. You don't necessarily really have a choice, especially if you don't have anyone to help you. you know, if any of you are watching this who are considering leaving a relationship, especially if you've got children, think long and hard about what you want to do and plan. Excuse me, if you can, plan it. Don't just, again, jump from frying pan into fire, because it just doesn't work. You've got to put your feelers out there and see what your options are. And I would say with rejection, when it comes to work, when it comes to relationships, with whether that be parents, whether that be siblings, whether that be friends or what have you, I think once you realise that you are surplus to requirements, that, you know, I suppose when it comes to friends, when you think you're friends with someone and then you find that they found something more entertaining, someone sort of like more attractive, but I mean in a sort of, in a friend type sense, where they found someone who's more on their wavelength than you are. And then you're just left high and dry with, you know, there's no more phone calls, there's no more invitations going out anywhere. It can really leave you feeling very, very hurt. And again, you know, when it comes to relationships, I remember when I first left my husband, I had two friends I was particularly close to. And one of them decided that she didn't like the area that I was living in, so she didn't want to come over and see me and to give me a hand settling in. So I took that rejection quite hard. The next one, it was obviously the big income that I was used to, all the fancy stuff that I was used to was now gone. And it meant that I could no longer just go out on a whim on shopping trips and go round antique shops and the things that we always used to do on a regular basis. There was no money for that sort of thing anymore. And slowly but surely it was just a case of, well, you know, I haven't heard from you. Yeah, but, you know, the places I want to go cost money and you don't have any. So what's the point of going round if I'm the one doing all the spending and you're just watching? There's not much fun in that for me. And I'm like, well, I still would have liked to have gone out. Just because I can't spend anything doesn't mean to say that I still wouldn't have enjoyed your company. But that's not quite how she saw it. So friends drifted away over that, and I did feel rejected. Then, of course, when I went into the wheelchair, that was a real eye-opener. Now, I cannot fault them for not having disability-friendly homes. That is not their fault. And all I'd said was, look, can't you come and see me? Because I can't get into your homes. I mean, would you not like to go out for a coffee? And of course, the one thing was about congregating in other people's houses is that you didn't spend anything. You just drank each other's coffee, ate each other's cakes and things like that. But to go out and buy a cup of coffee and, you know, and it meant that we'd have to go to a place where you couldn't smoke, and it was really inconvenient for them. So, and I said, well, you know, the obvious thing is, can you come to me? And the answer was, well, no, because you live too far out of town now and it's not convenient for us. So one by one, they all fell away. And being rejected knocks so many things out of whack. It affects, it's like a domino effect. you being rejected makes you feel lonely, makes you feel unneeded, unwanted, makes you feel like, I'll say to a lot of people, makes you feel like a pork sandwich at a bar mitzvah. You know, just, just, that it's like turning up for Valentine's night, but you don't have a date. You're the odd one out. And that's how I was made to feel, that I was now the odd one out, and that I didn't quite fit. And for all I was trying to be as accommodating as I could, it still didn't fit what we used to do. And because I was no longer able to do what we used to do, I was no good to those friends anymore. And I can't really, in all honesty, sit here and say, well, they were never my friends in the first place. I think they didn't know anybody who had a disability. I've heard, unfortunately, one of them now is walking with the aid of sticks. She's got really bad rheumatoid arthritis. And I feel awful for her. I mean, I really, really do. And, but there's too much time gone on. There's too much water under the bridge. And I fail to see what's the point of trying to reach out to her. Because we've got that thing about, well, no, I almost felt like everything that I'd done with them previously and then stopped doing because my marriage had ended, and then I was ill, and then my spine started to go, and then ending up in the wheelchair. It was like, well, these are all your issues. They're not really anything to do with us. You're the one that's making things different. So that felt like a massive rejection. And like I said, it has like this domino effect where it can make you feel mentally like you're going loopy. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but sometimes there's something inside you just wants to scream the place down. And then you hold everything in, and they tell you that it's not right to do stuff like, when you've got heavy depression, to sort of suppress everything, because it just makes you think darker and darker thoughts, and then you start thinking ridiculous things, and you start getting paranoid, and it's just not a nice situation to be in. And it's like everything that you thought was set in stone, has gone. And you feel rejected, you feel this loneliness, you feel the depression. You feel uncertain. What's my next move? What am I going to do? And the best advice I can give you, especially when it comes to the job front, is don't jump until you're pushed. Or at least don't. It's really, I'm not really making a great deal of sense. What I'm trying to say is, see at least if there's another job that you could go to. And then you could always stick the two fingers up to the people who are messing you around. Try not to jump into uncertainty, especially if you've got a family that you're supporting. Now that's whether you're a couple together, that's whether you're a single person. You do have to think about your kids and their needs. So, like I said, on the job front, look for something that's stable. Look for something that's a bit more certain. Look for something that you'll be able to fit in, and that will provide a decent income to support your family. If you can't, and you walk, and there's no support blanket there financially for you, sorry, excuse me, got several frogs in my throat today. what I'm basically trying to say is, it's hard, but sometimes you've got to grin and bear it. You've got to try and look for open doors before you close one behind you, especially when it comes to work. When it comes to your family, it can be really hard, especially, you know, if you love a parent, but if they don't love you, then all you can do is walk away. And yes, you can hope for something better. In the long run, you might find someone who behaves towards you like a parent and can give you that support that your blood relative just cannot or will not give you. Siblings and friends, what can I say? They say blood's thicker than water, but I say no to that. And the reason I say no to that is, when you fall in love with someone and you marry them, they're not your blood. And girls, unless you're related, but you know, you meet this stranger and you fall in love with this stranger. He or she's not your blood, but you form that tight bond, you know, that no one can ever break. So that sort of like throws a bit of, you know, blood may be thicker than water for some, but it's not a one size fits all, right? At least that's how I view it. And keep in mind, these are just all my own opinions. And as we all know, opinions are like arseholes. Everybody's got one. And I've got several, and, you know, but yeah, you know me. That's just how it goes. Rejection is really hard. Loneliness is really hard. Trying to look into the future and being uncertain and worried and panicked and anxious and depressed is really, really hard. Looking into a future when you don't have depression can be just as hard. But I think what keeps us going is the fact that every day is a new day. And you never know what opportunities there are there waiting for you until you really, really open your eyes and open yourself up to new opportunities, new ways of thinking, new ways of just looking at the world around you and finding that niche where you can fit. And then you will find the people that are meant to be around you will find you. It's going to be like a magnet, because there has to be balance in everything. So when you've got rejection on one hand, there's acceptance on the other. You know, where there's give, there's take. Where there's loss, there's gain. You know, there's balance in everything. And some people see a glass half empty, others see a glass half full. Me, I'm a glass half full kind of person, because I do try and see the light side and things. And, you know, talking about things like rejection and loneliness and sadness and all the other things that maybe I should have talked about, but I've forgotten because my memory's like a sieve. But I think there's something in what I've said that we can all talk about, and how we've come through hurt. And I hope that most of us have come through the hurt better people for it. I know that if I hadn't made changes in my life, I certainly wouldn't be here now talking in front of you. I wouldn't have the freedom I've got now. right, yes, I've lost people along the way. But people I've lost, I've learned from them. Like I said to you in another video, reason, season, lifetime. You know, everybody that crosses your path has something to teach you, and you've got something to learn from them. Hopefully you've got something to give to them in return, because you've got to have that balance. But I do believe that every time someone steps out of your life, there's someone else waiting to step in. And I think majority of the times it's for the better. Because when you think about it, we're all quite lucky people. We're all lucky in that we can access the internet. We can talk to each other. We can share things together. We can share problems. We can talk about issues. But bottom line, just remember, if you've ever felt rejected, you can come here, because here you won't be rejected. You will never be alone. You will be loved, wanted and needed. So you do have somewhere to come. And just remember the words in the message in a bottle. And, you know, you're among friends. You'll be with people who have been through what you've been through. Loss, rejection, disappointment, hurt, anger, bitterness. We've all been through it, and we've all come through the other side. And if some of us are going through something at the moment that they need help with, then that's why we are here, to help them. And to prove that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and that people do care. I do know that all of us here in the Haven have big hearts, and we do care. And we can help people. And if they can't speak, then we can give them a voice. And don't forget, we're going to also provide shoulders to lean on and an ear to listen. And it doesn't cost anything. Putting out a hand of friendship doesn't cost anything. And greeting people with a smile and a hello and a how are you. And say everything like you mean it. That it's genuine. Do it properly. And let your heart speak. And all I can say is, if anybody has been going through rejection, my heart does go out to you. You can talk to me. You can talk to any of us here. I would like to build a community where no one ever feels rejected ever again. They never feel alone. And it would be nice, wouldn't it? And like I said, just remember, we've got little Hazel, and you can always, you know, take a look at her and just see, isn't she just the cutest? She's lovely, isn't she? So thank you again, Laura, very, very much for providing this beautiful picture of Hazel for us. I just think she's the best. Anyway, guys, I've talked to you now for nearly half an hour. I need to go in and check in on Lorraine now. She's not doing great, but every prayer is an extra day. That's how I'm looking at it. So if you are still praying for her, or at least could you just say, please could you give Lorraine a good day? That would be really, really kind of you, and I'd be very, very grateful. Okay then, guys, if anybody has a request for the Wednesday folk tales, please could you let me know. Otherwise, I've completely forgotten what I was going to read on Wednesday. If anybody remembers, could you let me know? And somebody please shout at me, Heather, would you start writing stuff down? Because it's getting ridiculous, isn't it? My memory's just Loop-de-loop. Okay, guys, I love you all. And I'll see you all on Wednesday. For those of you who are folktale fans, I shall see you then. Take care. I love you all now. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.